It's been a year or so, right, since we last did this.
Yep.
It's been a while, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Doesn't feel like a year. It's been a pretty crazy year. Yeah, and now we're doing it in VR too. I remember last time in Discord we had some issues. Yeah. It's been a fun year for VR too, I guess, overall.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy.
It might be a little over a year then if yours was in Discord. 'Cause we've been doing VR for a while.
No, that was in April, last April. I looked.
Good Lord.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
We streaming, ready to go.
Is that like you guys have a playlist of videos up? That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I combined all the ones you sent and just made one big one and put it in there.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to VR Verdict Podcast, episode 108. I am PJ.
I love the space.
And Wookie.
Just seems to make so much more sense. Oh, sorry. Was I interrupting you guys?
And we're here talking to Ashwin VR about his upcoming game, District M. How's it going, man?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I think we had this issue last time. Ashwin VR. I know how we got there, but yeah, So Ashwin, my full name is Ashwin Jaishankr, but yeah, just Ashwin will do. Yeah, or Ashwin from AutoVRse.
So yeah, we were just saying, last time you were on, it was last April. So how's the last year been for you working on the game?
Yeah, it's been I'm just looking at the visuals over there. So yeah, that's taken a year to get to at this point. But yeah, the last year's been quite fun. I think last time we met, we were at the point where we had like a really early alpha build with not much art. And yeah, over the last year, I think just figuring out VR art, getting it to this point, that's been a whole roller coaster. But yeah, it's been really fun. And I think along the way, if maybe a year ago we were at a point where we knew we had something fun, we were really excited about it, and yeah, we probably didn't know at the time that it would take a year for us to get to this kind of a stage that kind of keeps happening all the time.
Sure.
But yeah, it's been it's been fun. It's been just I think now we've kind of just sort of understood what we want to build. I think we've really gone deep into sort of that. Like, it is a third-person rhythm platformer, and so I know finding, like, when you combine all of these together, I think there are some parts of it which just get really interesting and some parts which don't make sense. And so I think we spent a year sort of just iterating and coming up, like trying out all kinds of wild concepts. And now we're at a point where we really know like what works and what doesn't. And the game finally has, we have a really good understanding of what it is, what it should be, say, over the next 6 to 8 months as we build up to a full launch. And yeah, I think it's it's been fun. It's been like this a lot over the last year.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because, again, when you joined us back in last April, a year ago, you had just switched from, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought it was almost like a first person. Then you went to this whole new camera and thing. And then here a year later, and you're still kind of like you said, just figuring out what works and what feels better, building on it.
I think we started off sort of so I think we made the decision to build our own VR game around 3 years ago, right? And when we started off, I think just what comes naturally to you is a first-person game in VR, and we had a ton of ideas. I think we played around with a bunch of prototypes, right? From random, I guess, like just sort of time travel shenanigans led by Super Hot. So there's interesting mechanics around that. Then there was, I think, like a rhythm graffiti prototype, just where you sort of spray paint and sync with the music. And so we had like 7 or 8 different prototypes that we sort of tested over the course of those first 6 months. And but eventually, what we really enjoyed or really liked was this little, I think, concept that we built where you just had this tiny like character. I think it was a duck or something at the point, but you just sort of swing your hands and you like just sort of guide it through like increasingly complex like platformer puzzles. So you just sort of jump and dash, and that was, I think, compared to the other first person games, that sort of, I mean, we really enjoyed it. We really had fun with it, and we thought that we could add like a lot of depth to it. The plan was also to make to put out a game in a year when we started out, which definitely was not happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that over the course of that second year, right, we sort of dive deeper into that. Initially, it was the character became a runner. You sort of moved your head from side to side to control him, and it became a sort of rhythm runner game in this dark cyberpunk dystopic world. Because I think that was just the kind of, I think the cyberpunk art was having like a really big moment right around 2 years ago, like before Cyberpunk 2077 launched. And I think in general, probably the world around us also started becoming too much like a cyberpunk reality, and people just sort of got tired of that. And then I think we did too. And we also kind of figured out with the first prototypes that we put out, I think a little more, maybe 1.5 years ago, where that whole head motion wasn't too comfortable, right? Like just jerking your head from side to side. And I think the obvious thing at that point was like, but why not just swing with your hands and I think like almost everyone on the team is a fan of Beat Saber. I guess almost everyone in VR is. So when you kind of swing your hands and sync to the music, and I think Mario was also probably the first game that almost all of us on the team had played. And so we just sort of started like we started prototyping this thing where you swing your hands. We started porting over a lot of your typical platformer mechanics and game objects. And we thought we had something we really liked around a year ago in terms of gameplay. And we spent a year, the last year, then I guess just sort of prototyping that out and like polishing those mechanics and kind of figuring out where we stand right along that rhythm and platformer spectrum. So with rhythm, it's very tightly controlled. It's you play a Beat Saber map, and you're just you're kind of trying to understand the level at first, but it's fine for you to fail, and then so on like a second, a third, a fourth try, it's completely fine if you don't get it on the first try. You throw something maybe a little unfair. Platformer is the slowly that I think along the way we realized that we really wanted like just happier art, just art that excited us more. And we found an artist on Twitter who we worked with. She kind of Nadaski, who concepted our this art out, and then trying to get recreate that in in VR was a whole another challenge. But at the end of it, I think we sort of, I don't think we ever thought we'd get to the point where we'd actually have like a full city running on the Quest at the kind, looking the way it does right now. But I think we've kind of got there at this point. And I think now we're sort of excited, to put it out there for everyone. I mean, like I said, we're launching the free demo tonight, right? So just it's just a little taster. Like there are, I think the main mechanics that we have, like the drift and the dash, which you guys tried in our alpha last year, right? Those aren't there in this demo, but it's just sort of like a little taster of just this weird new mechanic that we've made, and just to see if people out there kind of get as excited about it as we do. And now hopefully they'll work with us over the next year to kind of mold it and like help give us feedback and see where we can take it, right?
Yeah, it's it's a strange concept, and I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just it's a, like you said, it's a rhythm game, but it's a platforming game. But rhythm games normally, like,
Yeah.
you have to hit like on a beat and type, like Beat Saber, you have to slash the bricks on the beat, but yours is more like swaying and dancing, and it's one of the more unique mechanics I've seen so far. Where, like you said, and you can see in the video if you're watching, you just swing your arms to the beat, and it's crazy how it works. It just works really well and all fits together. Um, and then you have the music going, and it just you feel like you're dancing.
Yeah, it's weird. I think we're trying to figure out how to phrase it as well, because are you swaying to the music or are you sort of dancing to it? I think I really like, and with the whole mechanics that we have, right? I think it's funny how a lot of the different mechanics can be mapped to different kinds of songs or vibes, right? So I think with jump and dash, it's very typical, and it's closer to say what you have on Guitar Hero. And so those are just button presses. So on a button, I mean, you just press a button to the beat. So jump kind of is just your basic rhythm. I mean, just the way it might work in Guitar Hero, I would say is the best thing, but or any sort of keyboard or PC or console game. So jump is kind of just that, it just sort of eases you in. But then where it gets interesting, sort of, when you swing your arms, and that I think we're trying to understand it. Yeah, I watch a lot of like just music videos and sort of dance videos or choreography videos on YouTube. I didn't know. None of us on the team knew anything about this a year ago, but the last year has been really interesting. And so yeah, we're kind of wondering how like swaying your arms to a certain note or a beat, like how that feels. And I think trying to understand like how that should guide our level design has been like an interesting process. But over the course of that, I think like that our entire mechanic set kind of helps us plan for different notes. So beat is just timing. Jump is just timing into a beat. You have like drift, which is probably one of the most satisfying. I mean, yeah, it's definitely one of the most satisfying things I've done in VR, where you kind of grab the skater. It's almost like he's like a little physics object, and so if you have like a hanging note, you just kind of fling him from one side to the other. And yeah, it's interesting how like it's basically like as that note hangs in the air, you're also trying to see if you've and you've let go and he's drifting. You're trying to see if you have pulled it off the right way, and that's just it's just a kind of feeling that I really enjoy. And yeah, we're still trying to figure out how to phrase it, but I guess when everyone plays it, we'll kind of figure that out. But this kind of helps us map, say, to like the rhythm of a song, right? And so you have steer, where you just kind of sway your arms and the skater moves with you, that's in the demo. But with drift, you then kind of sway and you toss him, and that helps us like support like an entirely new genre of music, right? And then there's dash, where it's kind of like you swing your arms and you button press, and at that point like you can start destroying objects. And so that leads, like, now you start getting into like platformer territory, right? When what you can do with that. So yeah, I think across all these mechanics, it's just been interesting. And yeah, now we're kind of prototyping a jump where, so you jump up, but then you swing your arms up, and he kind of does like an extended jump. So
oh, nice.
I mean, yeah, like a double jump is probably one of the most satisfying things in a platformer, right, to do. I think we all just enjoy it. Like, I think when I play a Mario game, I just sort of keep jumping around. And I think what people say about platformer moveset is that if you have like a blank level and it's with no obstacles, and you just have fun sort of moving your character around, that means like you've just cracked character movement, or you've just figured it out entirely. And so we're trying to do that now with our little skater here. So yeah, I think we kind of like it, but I'm curious to see, I know what you guys think of it, and consequently everyone else out there.
Yeah, well,
it looks fantastic.
Yeah, it's as you know, kind of played the new demo a little earlier than you wanted me to. So, but yeah, I really enjoy it. Like, I'm just a normal person. I'm not much of a dancer, but it is satisfying to swing your arms and try like if you watch the video, I don't know if they're notes or what the objects are you collect, but you have them around corners, and if you hit that just right, it's very rewarding, and you feel like, yeah, I nailed that. And then again, with the music in the background, it just all feels really good. Also from the video, I see you got some like different routes to go and maybe some hidden things to do on each map. That looks really interesting.
So that's actually like how that came about is a pretty fun story because so the challenge with rhythm games, I guess, is if you don't know the song already, or if you, so with Beat Saber as well, I'm sure like it's the mods that really help them become the game that they are, right? Because when you play a rhythm game and it's a song that you already know the rhythm to, it's always more fun. Of course, we don't have Meta money or Facebook money yet, so or anything like that at all. We're just a small indie studio, so you can't license like I know, just something from Billboard Top 100 or something like that, right? So so the idea for us was we had these songs and we thought what we do is it's weird. It's almost like every time I play a level, the first time I play it is when I enjoy it the least, because I haven't really internalized the rhythm yet, and so I don't know what to do. And almost every subsequent time that I play it, it gets more and more fun. And once I've really got the song, that's when I can start showing off, right? And so what we're doing with so here you can see like the yellow lines. The yellow roads are kind of like an easy road where like that's the easy path where you just go through it for the first time and you just kind of listen to the song and you get an idea of a few key beats. It's under mapped, so it's more relaxed. You can just listen to the song, you can understand it, and once you finish that is when you unlock the hard parts, which you see in red on the side. So those little the security guard gates that you see there just open up at that.
Nice.
And that's when you can start showing off. That was kind of where it came from. And I think it's nice because it also sort of helps plan for like players of just different skill levels. I think making the game sort of accessible to just new people in VR has been just something that they can understand. That's been a whole thing we've been doing as well. And but I think this really helps, and it keeps things interesting. The multiple parts.
You know, to your point of the music, I know, like you said, it'd be nice to have recognizable music that everyone knows and make the game a little easier. But I honestly love that you have all original music and I've never heard it before. Like, I actually like that way better. But it is weird, like you said, how you have to learn that before you do really feel like you know what's going on. And I didn't think about that.
Great.
Yeah. And going back to the art, like, I don't know why, but like the first time I saw your new art, and every time I look at it, I would think of Sonic Racing. Like, it's just bright, colorful. There's a lot of stuff going on in the background, like the big monsters and the clouds and things. It's really neat.
I think that the art, like I said, at the end, like right now, what you've kind of ended up building, and it's really fun seeing the team now go at it. So the big monster, we call him Squiggly Bro in the office. It started off as a joke. We're a very small team. It's like 5 people working on the game, and more importantly, 5 people with no sort of prior experience building games. Right, the team's super young. Everyone's in their 20s, and so we know how to build VR. We build a lot of like enterprise VR apps, and we've spent the last sort of 5.5 years just building in VR. So we know that, but building a game is kind of and nailing that feel or art style is just like something that we're figuring out as we go along. So I think when the idea of that giant monster just sort of jumps if I think once people see the free demo, they'll probably see it then. It's been, I think, it turns up on this video here too. But it I don't think we thought we'd be able to pull it off, but along the way, like our artists have just sort of leveled up and learned new stuff, and suddenly something that we thought we couldn't do, this wasn't in the plan, by the way. Even like 7 weeks ago, it wasn't in the plan, and it's just that when we were sort of prioritizing the art for the level, someone just had this crazy idea. Our designer, our animator Abu, and he just sort of sketched it out and implemented it in a couple days, and it worked out really well.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I think now we've sort of built this, like with the art style that we have right now. It's kind of like we're going for this, like it's a little toy skater that you have, and I think you'll see with most of our marketing as well, we have these renders of the skater as a Lego toy, or like just something toy like, and it's sort of like when you were a kid, if you picked up your action figure and you just disappeared into into your imagination doing stuff with him, right? We're kind of going for that vibe with the skater. So I feel like what's great about that is we have no limits now. If it's like there was an octopus, there were just like this giant, I don't know, caterpillar squiggly bro just leaping through the clouds. So yeah, we can kind of do anything at this point, which is very exciting, I think, going forward.
Were you gonna say something, Wookie?
Just was agreeing with it. I love the art style. It looks like it flows pretty well.
Yeah, the pillars of everything that's holding up like the road. Like I love, like I don't know what kind of art that is, but like it's like characters and just kind of paintings. But that's so cool.
It reminds me of like the old Zune artwork, because they would have like crazy monsters and stuff. They're like your little, kind of like tags or street art on those. It was really neat.
Yeah, and I think that's about VR. I think just having like a fun world to it. So we just wanted to build like something that you'd like to. I mean, finally, VR games they're an escape, right? VR offers you sort of a unique way to just cut off from the stresses of the real world and just insulate yourself entirely. And I think right now it's just I think just everything, and any other activity that I do, my phone can still go off. Someone can call me, or it's very easy to get distracted, at least. And I feel that's true for a lot of people out there. But with VR, it's just sort of like once you plug in and you're in there, you just get lost. And so I think everyone just wants to do that. And the best games out there are just people built like worlds you just want to escape to. And I mean, I think at this point there have been games where VR games have just sat in, and sometimes I don't do anything. I just kind of spend time there because it's like a little escape. And we were kind of looking to build something like that, and I think that we got there in the end. And I think there's still a lot more to add in terms of like gameplay and stuff. I think in terms of like this, even here, what you're seeing, these are just maybe like 10% of the different game objects that we've kind of prototyped out.
Wow.
There are like air vents and just like even bigger trampolines than this, and even this, I think this dream pipe is now, so we call that this thing a dream pipe here. So it's like just, I think we're just scratching the surface of what all we can do. We have like flip tiles going forward, then destructible objects, etc. So and all this in sync with the music. So that should be just, I think as we start releasing more levels going forward, it'll be fun to see how people react to that.
Yeah. And I love that you think of the skater as a little toy character, because those are some of my favorite VR games that you grab here's a little different, but you basically, like you said, grab the object and you just kind of takes you back to your childhood where you're making it up in your head and just kind of moving them around and stuff. So that's really awesome. Yeah.
And I think that it's also something that's really difficult to communicate, right? Like right now, when I look at that video, you see the controllers and you see that they're controlling the skater, but I don't think it's immediately obvious that it's not one-to-one, because I think you just kind of hold this, like you just move him like this, that's one way, but that, I think it feels a little limiting. But the instant we sort of started adding physics and the ability to like throw him, it almost becomes like a skill or a sport.
Yeah.
And so, that's been very interesting. So with drift, especially, even I think as we've been polishing that mechanic and trying to figure out how we want people to swing, it's we kind of like there was a point where we were struggling to kind of see like how, I mean, just what's satisfying, right? If you swing the skater from side to side and you just see him going into the distance, like what feels right, what feels intuitive. And we realized that eventually it was almost like mapping, like say a tennis stroke or like a golf swing or like where we come from, like a shot with your cricket bat, right? Where
Sure.
the follow through matters as well. And so
like hockey
now I think, or hockey, any of those. So it's now doing like in VR is almost like now you have this little physics object, and so now it's a skill how much fine control you have. And I think we've kind of got that place where beginners can get to like a certain point and they can understand the controls is easy enough to get. But there's also a lot of scope for like showing off your mastery and skill, and that especially when combined with say the different camera angles and the camera motion. I'm just excited to see sort of people who really get into the game and like want to show off what they're doing, whether it's to shoot videos of their skills. There's a lot to work with here, so I'm just hoping like it captures someone's imagination and they just sort of start doing crazy things with it. It'll be fun to watch.
Yeah. Have you found out?
Players come up with. Sorry.
So that's fine.
Players do some random stuff that you might not have thought about that would be interesting in a game like this. Like, I didn't think of that.
I think that's already kind of happening, because so especially I think the free roam mode, right, is something that I'm super interested in. So there you can see like so you can sort of zoom into the skater, you can be very close to him and play the entire level. And so once you've kind of sorry, my phone was going off again. Maybe VR isn't all that much of an escape. But yeah, I was saying with free roam mode, so you can, I think people have already started doing like some fun stuff during playtesting. So I think one person just sort of went entirely into a 90-degree mode, like 90 degrees to the skater, just sort of perpendicular to him, and turned it into a 2D side scroller. And especially for this level, once you know the level, and again, you kind of like, because of the rhythm, you know what's coming before it even is, right? And so like at this point I can play that level with my eyes closed, and it's not just me, a lot of people can. So then you can start doing stuff like going in front of the skater with your back to the level and then playing it. And I think we saw that I'm sort of going underneath the bridges and then playing it from there. And so there's a lot that you can it's kind of that feeling of just flying around crazy world and doing whatever you want. And I think I'm excited to see people do it.
That brings me back to when we were kids and we were playing Mario so much, way back in the NES days. It got to a point where we would put like a mirror next to the TV and play it backwards. Just for like a challenge.
Wow.
Yeah.
But is that true? Wow, I didn't know that.
That's true.
Yeah, it like flips it, and then you got to do it backwards. So you got to think totally backwards, and it's actually pretty fun.
It's a good way to fight off dementia, because your brain is not a pattern at all.
Yeah,
I'm curious.
Actually, I mean, that I didn't know that, but that's super interesting. Because I think there's a slight lag, so I'm kind of cutting you off at points. But so I was saying, I mean, what you mentioned about the mirror and Mario is super interesting, because I think one of the toughest shots to shoot for the trailer was when you're kind of looking at the skater's face, right? And then if you swing right, he goes to the left. You swing left, he goes to the right, and that was really hard to get. I don't think I've finished. I mean, I've finished the level playing that way, but I'm not really happy with the way I did, and so I'm sure that that's definitely a challenge for for someone out there to pull off.
Yeah.
It also like ties into achievements and stuff down the road. Once you start adding those, there are so many just kind of like options for us to explore, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. I'm curious, do you find does it change the gameplay at all? Or do you have any issues with people who have like maybe really long arms or people that have shorter arms? Does that change the mechanics at all?
Yeah, it does. So what we used to have up until a few weeks ago was we had like a height calibration system. So or rather an arm span calibration system, right? So as soon as you start the game, what you do is just spread your arms out wide, and so if that's your arm span, you then calibrate it, right? And we had that, but that was kind of it was it was a little I mean, I think it was just another layer of inertia, right? It feels like when you're in VR, or you want to play a VR game, just putting on the headset and then diving into it can be a bit of an inertia. I mean, you just have that resistance to it. There's that inertia to it. And I felt like then we have calibration as well. That's just one more step before people can just jump into that world. So we were thinking like long and hard about what to do for that. There was also the problem that, well, what if a tall person just kind of, they set like very low. I mean, they just kind of held their hands together like T-Rex hands and then calibrated, and then the sensitivity would be off and it won't feel good. Or the situation where you just, I mean, let's say you play first and then you just hand it off to someone who's far shorter or far taller than you, and they won't take the trouble to calibrate again, and they'll be like, what's the big deal about this game? I don't see this just because they're not playing it the way it's meant to be played. So yeah, we kind of found a system where and I think this was nice because it was one of those fundamental shifts which made such a huge difference. Was so when you swing your arms, initially we were tracking the distance you swing, right? And so that becomes super dependent on arm span. But what we did was we changed that to basically how fast you swing your arms. And so suddenly, and just like how smooth the motion is. So when you let go of the skater, when you do something, we don't just track what you were doing right before you let go of him, we're tracking even after, like you let go of the grip buttons and let him go. So based on how smooth your motions are and how fast you can move it, that starts like dictating the skater's movement more. And what is fun about that was now there are like, it doesn't matter whether you're tall or short, that speed at which you can swing kind of is more a function of your agility and your flexibility. And it's obviously within like a certain spectrum. So it's not going to vary all that much, right? But there's still enough scope for, say, people who don't want to swing that much, who want to take a little more relaxed, they can still play the game. But the people who want to go hard at it can now start showing off, right? And you can do like crazy drifts and you can show off your agility. And with this new system, we could do away with the calibration as well. And it started feeling like, I know, more of a I think before it was kind of easy to master the old mechanics. Now it felt like a little more of a challenge. It kind of just like, and it's in that sweet spot of like, it's hard, but I can get there, and like one more try, I can get better. And so that, it was kind of like an idea that sort of hit, like we got two birds with one shot, that we got rid of calibration and we kind of standardized the experience for everyone. And like, we got that mastery curve locked in. So that was fun.
That's a happy accident / surprise, I guess.
yeah, there's been a whole lot of those.
It's just the stuff you don't think of, I'm sure, that you run into is like, oh crap.
Yeah, and I think there's also the stuff that you kind of unexpectedly learn along the way. Like I never realized, I think, before building a game, like how important cameras were, or camera movements were. Like, especially, I mean, so I'm not a big, like, I mean, I don't play first person games as much. Like I used to a while ago, but I know I just like third person a lot more. It feels like I like that character. If you're controlling, I don't know, like a Batman game, I mean, Arkham Asylum or Spider-Man or like God of War, those animations are so cool, right? And you kind of feel like you are that character. And first person is great, but I feel like with person you just always like it's always just easier to make someone feel cooler. And yeah, consequently when you're playing, it's just I know that, yeah, there's something there that that doesn't scratch that itch for me in first.
Sure.
But yeah, I think now looking at like all the devs who have built third person games and the way they control their camera there, like I have so much more respect for them at this point. It's so hard to implement. I mean, I think about people who make videos or just I don't know, like other forms of media, and I'm like, now you come to games, you got to kind of be I mean, you need to also have this like cinematography skill almost. And it's something that no one takes for granted. No one ever talks about. No one really, like, everyone just kind of takes it for granted, right? If you pull off like an amazing camera system, no one really talking about it as much as, say, I know, compared to like just how satisfying it is to fire a shotgun or something. But wow, that has been a whole journey figuring, and so much more respect now for all these third person games out there with this and like with the camera movement.
That's funny. Yeah, I've never really thought about camera stuff until we started talking to devs in VR, because they're like, normal game, you have the screen and you can do whatever you want, but in VR, like, the person's looking there and I can turn my back and go look at something else. How do you fix that, and how do you adjust for that? It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that's a super interesting design problem too, right? I'm curious. I wanted to ask you guys, when you played the demo, did you see the giant squiggly monster the first time you played, like with the tutorials and everything?
If I remember correctly, I did.
Yeah, because I think this is something where we're seeing like people who are used to VR and who sort of like they know the controls, they're familiar with the controllers. They're all they kind of like they know the first time is just okay. It's about the tutorials and just getting through, and they're comfortable enough to look around, right? But first time VR players, it's very funny because they're so locked in and just figuring out the controllers, the grip buttons, and just looking at the skater that there's this massive, I don't know, like 60 feet monster jumping in the air over you, like from cloud to cloud, and people just don't see it. Like they completely miss the octopus in the Ferris wheel. They miss the hot air balloons. They miss the giant monster, and they play the whole game, which is why at the end on the end screen after the tutorial, you put those screenshots of the octopus and the monster, like seeing these guys. And a lot of people just don't even realize it's there.
I was also on the second run through because you guys posted a screenshot of the octopus. I'm like, that looks so freaking cool. I want to see it. So I was really looking, but yeah, I get that, because if it's, and especially a game as unique as yours, like, you really got to focus on what you're doing. You probably block everything else out. But yeah, I thought it was compared to the last build from way back, like it was an entire different world where the old one was dark and just not much going on, and now it's just a bright, vibrant thing with all kinds of stuff moving around, and it's quite an upgrade.
Yeah. We've also been trying to figure out our thinking about that, so the user's attention, it's also, it's strange because now when like you have, I think with even here you saw there's the free roam mode where you control the camera, but when you're playing the game without free roam mode, there are parts where we sort of zoom you in and zoom you out, and we have to do that ideally without inducing nausea, right? So that was, and I think it was interesting because of the number of factors we need to consider there. So just with that camera movement, if you zoom in, everything just feels so much faster, and if you zoom out to like a bird's eye view, it just feels slower. And so what we learned was, when you zoom out, it's so much easier for people to learn the controls, because you can see your hands and you can see the skater far below you, and you can see that connection, right?
Sure.
But if I zoom you in super close, also you just have a much better understanding of the distances you want to move the skater to, whereas once we move you close in, you don't have that same perspective. And in this demo, you're always sort of behind the skater, but there are levels further down the path where we kind of put you at like a 45-degree angle to him, and then you kind of zoom in a bit, and so if you want to drift to the left, if we have you kind of like your camera at that 45-degree inclination where you can see the length of the drift and estimate its like sort of depth correctly, the likelihood of people executing that on their first attempt is so much better than if they were on the other side and they weren't entirely sure how long it is. And so then suddenly you have to start thinking about, all right, if your camera is here and you're looking at the skater like in that direction, then you don't want to be swinging your hand, like you don't want your controllers to be on the opposite end, because this is just like an uncomfortable position for your body to be in. And I'm sure the Beat Saber devs have definitely, like, they've probably given so much thought to, like, I mean, just when they're designing levels, that they don't want to put you in any awkward positions or like incentivize like weird jerks of your body, right? And sort of get you into flow state as you're like slicing those cubes. That I kind of, it gave me like a greater appreciation for just the level designers there, because we place so much trust in them, right? Where if you're playing like a really fast level, you stop noticing the arrows after a point, and you're just like, if I slice this cube downwards, I can't see the cube behind it, I can't see the arrow, but I know that their level designers have my back, that the next one is going to be like slicing upwards, right? And yeah, so we kind of were trying to build that. So every drift should, I mean, if it's within a certain time thing, if you drift left, it should be followed by something to the right, or so that you're always kind of swinging from side to side. And if we have one where you got to go the same side twice, we ensure there's like a larger gap. But yeah, I mean, now I'm sort of sitting here saying all this. It seems obvious to me now in hindsight, but figuring that out was yeah, that took time.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, it'll be interesting if you do implement the double jump where you go upwards, like you were saying. That'd be really neat. See what you do with that.
Yeah. So Adarsh, he's our game director, and he sort of does all the, so our lead dev. So he was, I mean, so we were just trying to like meet this free demo and like just put it out there as soon as possible, and just fine tuning those mechanics. And so like a month ago, I just walk into the office and I see him, and he's like, we discussed that, like, okay, I mean, people have fun swinging their arms, so why shouldn't jump be something that you toss your arm up for? It was also something which, when we made people play test, we saw a lot of people just, even though we don't ask them to swing their arms to jump, especially when you start jumping from side to side, people sort of do it naturally, right? And so we discussed that that should also be a motion control. It doesn't make sense for that to be a button click. And yeah, he just went ahead and prototyped it, and I tried it out, and it was fun. But yeah, it was also because I was like, yeah, jump was so fundamental, and we never questioned it till now, and now suddenly we want to like change that too, and that was that was very stressful. But yeah, I think the way we're seeing it now is almost like, even with platformers, you unlock move sets. So maybe we keep up the basic jump, because let people just kind of understand what this is kind of an easy sort of introduction. And then you sort of, once they get this part, they understand this part, we should then have the option to have like an advanced jump that you also swing your arm, and then you can go higher. And so we've begun prototyping levels for that now, and those are actually some of the most fun levels. So yeah, as excited as I am to see the free demo out there and what people will do, I'm just like so excited about all the new stuff that we're building right now.
That's awesome. From a gamer's perspective, and you guys have been asking stuff on Twitter too, and you're like, hey, what do you think of this? And I'll always have the same answer. If you can give the player the option of what to do, like say, yeah, you should leave the button press jump in, but maybe give the players an option to always do this. So like the more advanced players that like the feel of how that works, and then maybe you would like do this for a double jump or something, just always have options for, because then you open it up to such a bigger range of people.
Yeah, more tricks.
Yeah.
If you someday maybe implement hand tracking, you do like finger flick and just send them flying, like through a goalpost.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so hand tracking. I think so that there are some interesting things there too you're talking about. But yeah, now PJ, to answer what you asked first was, yeah, I think there's also that sweet spot, right, where you give too much control, and I think like it might go like people might not get the full experience. Or I think we want to get to a point where we just sort of expose all these parameters, right, like sensitivity of every drift, jump, and I think like say at this point right now, people do that for a bunch of mechanics and like games which have been I don't know what an example is. Maybe it's like so I think with FIFA maybe there's something where you can control game speed and stuff like that, and like they expose so many parameters that people can do whatever they want with, but it's such a small percentage of their player base that actually makes those changes. Here I think I want to do that, but I think we're just kind of waiting to see because it feels like it might be all too much at once when we show it to people. But we're hoping that if people like the game and they come in and they're prototyping the levels out, that on Discord now we'd be able to sort of just post updated builds, right, and just get people to test it out and maybe just have like one parameter variance and varying at times, and like get people to just kind of tell us what they find the most fun. And yeah, if there's enough noise out there saying that, you know what, I just want to like sometimes I want to sit playing like I want to play sitting down, and so I just wanted to be ultra sensitive at that point, and we can expose that. Although I feel like with the new system we have with velocity and how fast you swing, we also like it you can play it sitting down because it just becomes a more like a wrist action game at that point, where it's like how fast can you. I think even with Beat Sabers we have people who like swinging their arms and being super dancey, but there are like when you start going up the levels and you're like beyond expert plus and stuff, a lot of people are just kind of like wiggling their like spinning their wrists and going crazy, right? And so I think we can see like we'll probably see similar plays. I wouldn't be surprised if we see similar play styles kind of turn up here because both sort of have their merits, and I can see like it working out either ways. Sorry, Wookie, you'd asked something, and that had sort of I forgot what that was. I had a thought there.
Last thing I said was flicking them with finger tracking.
Oh yeah. So another thing that we were kind of thinking about was, I mean, you have a like the skater, right? Like, who is he? What is this character? And what's like when you have like the main character in a third person game, people naturally develop like some kind of relationship with him, right? And right now he's just kind of static, but we were thinking it would be super fun if he starts react what you're doing. So with like hand tracking, the way you said, yeah, I don't know if we can flick him because it maybe not apparent, but like you're the same size as he is. So you're just kind of like flying around, but scale wise, if you go up to him, yeah, you're going to be like the same size as he is. And so, but yeah, if you, I don't know, if you like give him a thumbs up, or yeah, if you decide to flip him off, he should react accordingly, right? So those kind of things, we want to build in going, but we have like a few like just experiments where you've done stuff. But I'm thinking at some point in the future, I mean, most of the things which started off as experiments have kind of made their way into the game at some point. So I think we'd see those too. It'll be super fun for content creators too. I think you have like, I think the free roam and stuff gives them a lot of options, but just having a character that maybe they can riff off of or just create funny stuff with. I think that would be fun to see.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. So you're releasing the demo today officially, and you're announcing everything. Anyone listening, watching, there'll be links in the show notes to the Sidequest version, the Applab version, all that stuff you want to share. But do you have like a target window in mind for full release, or are you still kind of just working on things and seeing how it goes, or?
We have a target window, but yeah, we've been really bad with timelines so far, which is yeah. I think you probably know that more than most. But yeah, it's so I think it's this, and we do have a timeline, but I think the problem is every time we set a timeline, someone on the team comes up with something which we look at it and I'm like, God, this is so good. We have to put it in, but also, God, we're gonna be late again. And yeah, I think the only good thing I have to say about it so far is it feels at this point as though all these delays have been worth it. The delays, like I think it hasn't. So I think we just have to sort of accept the fact that yeah, this is a tough game to build, and a team
Yeah.
of 5 shouldn't be attempting something on this scale. But now we are here, so yeah, our window is 6 to 8 weeks. I mean, basically, sometime in April is when we want to launch. We've planned for April, like internally, we've sort of planned for like April 15th, but I think like for sure that's going to get delayed by around a month. So yeah, I'm going to say like just May, and I'm hoping that has enough buffer there to definitely make it. But compared to before, I'm also a little more confident because we launched this free demo with all the levels that we have planned for like our early access launch already ready. So it's all ready. It's there. We just want to, I think it's just adding art and polish and like play testing, which
Sure.
is left. And for each level, we kind of know what needs to happen. We're also, yeah, content, just the more content or quality content, the better, right? So for some,
Yeah.
we're also kind of discussing having different kinds of levels where you have like there is a proper long level, which is something like this, where you see like a natural progression where the song sort of starts off slow and then ramps up over it, and that's like a 3-4 minute kind of song. But this what you're seeing here is what we call a short, right, where you have the entire city and stuff, but there the art will be more standardized and it'll just be the track that changes. But these will be shorter, around like a minute or so, but with multiple paths. And here we don't, it feels more like a skate park, or closer to a rhythm game, where you won't have that progression. You just have an easy part and a hard path, and on the easy path, yeah, you just learn the rhythm and you'll kind of be able to finish it quickly. But on the hard path, the expectation is that yeah, there are no checkpoints, there are no save points here. You just got to finish it in one run. And yeah, you just kind of like, we don't, does that progression isn't there. It's more of a, you just got to see, react, do it in the moment. I think the way I almost see it is like, so our normal level feels like a chase sequence in a platformer. I don't know if you played Ori or
Yep.
yeah, or any, yeah, I think any of those, maybe Tomb Raider, like sequences where just things start crashing down and you need like an escape sequence, right? With
Sure.
or a chase sequence where we're going for that feeling of you like you want to play the entire game, entire level, but and the first time you're seeing it, if you kind of finish it on your first run, it kind of feels a little like you feel like it's like players just feel like it's too easy, but you don't want to die like 5, 10, 20 times. Like you don't want that many attempts. You kind of want this sweet spot of maybe like, yeah, die a few times, and those deaths come because of twists in the level that you should have seen but you just didn't, right? And so so levels are kind of structured like that, but the shots that we have are closer to like, yeah, it's like a skate park where just you fail again, but each time you get a little bit better, and it's just random things being tossed at you in sync with the music, and each time you're learning the music a little bit more. And so even if you're dying like 30-40 times, it's almost like, I know if a skater is attempting a particular trick, right, he knows
Sure.
he needs to keep, he or she knows that they need to keep trying this multiple times, but when they pull it off, it just feels so rewarding, and almost each attempt you feel like you're getting a little bit closer to that. So yeah, we're trying to go for that feel there.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, the video, like the colors and everything. We've been testing the build here, and we've been in here, and it's just like I just always stop and just watch it, just stare. So I get distracted. Sorry. So yeah, it's cool. Like launch is coming up. I can't imagine how exciting that is, but I know like just from the couple times we've talked, and you're like, you seem so busy, and it's just I can't imagine being in your guys' shoes. Like you said, everyone's like, oh, we could do this, and delay the launch because the launch is something you want to get right.
Yeah.
So I would just say, you take your time and do it because you only get one launch. But then you say that, and then there's like an early access type thing that seems to work pretty well in VR for VR stuff, not so much normal gaming. But yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I think that there's I think gamers are becoming, especially VR gamers, are a lot more receptive to early access titles at this point. And I think it's not just VR gamers, probably even like I think Hades was like just for indie games in general, people are now more receptive to it sort of being updated over early access. Yeah, with Hades, I think we saw it being in early access like I think a year or so, or at least like 6-8 months, where they just kept pushing updates. But I think as long as like you're building something interesting and it's fun, I think people are okay with it.
Yeah,
I think also right now looking at games like Walkabout, Mini Golf, and they're releasing so many new levels, and people are just like loving it, and it also gives them, I think, like it with that, like when you have that pressure of just that one big launch and after that you can't make any changes. I think that's maybe great for like more established like game studios or like AAA game studios or even genres where you already know what you need to do and you're kind of making like you basically what you're building right when you start. But I think with VR right now there are so many new like just new mechanics and systems and like this where it's just like we're just taking a bet. I have no idea. I think like people might like it's possible people play this and just say that what the hell are these guys doing? This doesn't make any sense. And of course it's going to be that crowd. It's a little controversial for people. Yeah. So I think with early access, maybe it's just like a nice way for us to find, hopefully, I'd say, are people out there who really like this and who enjoy the style. And hopefully, like then I think we have all these like different, like the team is now at the point where I think that they can kind of like we'll see this feedback and we'll see like what people want and we'll be able to kind of tweak our plans a bit to just respond to that feedback and make something which they all like, right? I think it's like a couple, like most I think VR games at this point are launching like 3 or 4 times, where first you have an early access of like you have like, and I mean when you get onto the official Oculus store from Applab, and so there's a launch around there, and then typically all studios are just out for resources to know. So we should probably be building for PSVR and Steam right now, and I'd love to be, but like we just don't have the people to do that at this point. But that's a no-brainer, and so you have that launch coming up, and
well,
and for us I think there's an added
sorry, it also gives you a reason to talk about your game again, because like you said, like bigger games come out and if there's hype, but it's just the launch. But especially with VR titles, you get to say, like you brought up Walkabout Mini Golf, like they're planning to release a new course every month, so every month they have a reason to say, hey, come check out our game, and it just keeps you kind of in everyone's mind.
Yeah, exactly. And I think we're kind of our plan is to go somewhere down that route. I think we're aiming to sort of release content updates. So we launch with, say, something like we're still deciding how many, but like I said, six levels and shorts kind of, which feel like they're probably around 3 hours of content, maybe at early access for someone who like knows, who picks up the controls fairly well. But say within a month after launch, I would want to release more levels, like 3 more, and hopefully every month we have we just keep, because with every new song we add, every new genre, every new game object, it's just possible that yeah, you push someone else over the edge, right? And they just decide, hey, this looks interesting, let me try it.
Yep.
So yeah, I think that's kind of like, I don't think we have any option but to do that, to be honest. Yeah. It's also, I think we've really we being in India, there aren't too many game studios out here, and there are very few, like, I mean, hardly any like VR game studios here, right? So it's also harder to get the attention of, say, like an Oculus or Sony. There are no publishers here that we can just go directly talk to. And I mean, in VR anyway, self-publish is a thing. But I'm hoping now that the free demo is out there, we can start having those sessions with like Oculus and Sony, and hopefully there'll be like some support there around like when we can start launching this game. As we build up to the full launch, I think we still have like a few months to get to that point.
Sure. Well, we've come up on our hour. Is there anything we didn't talk about that you wanted to bring up before we call it a day? Or?
I'm thinking, I don't know. Let me just check. I made some sort of notes. I want to see if I've kind of hit everything. But yeah, I think we kind of, we covered most thing about the game. I think it doesn't feel like we left much out.
Cool. Well,
yeah, I don't know. I think, yeah.
I've played the demo. I'm going to play some more and make some fun videos. But yeah, I really enjoy it, and I love where you guys are heading with it. It's pretty fun. And as soon as I learn how to like sway my hips better and get a little better drift down, I'll be good.
Yeah, I think so. So the little trick is, I think zone in, like wear earphones and like really zone in, and just remember, it's not, because there's a temptation to sort of like, and I think the pickups also incentivize that, because they're in a straight line right now. So even this, you're probably going to see, like, actually we're putting an updated build out today itself. But this, I expect this to change as well. So the track, for instance, right now, it's very dead. Like, say when you drift there, we have like an art update coming in where there's a lot of VFX on the track. So even when you see you'll see like a bar, like you see the track react to you. Like as you drift, the longer you drift, you'll see like sparks coming up and stuff. So yeah, just those little, like, I guess, effects which are gonna give you like more of a dopamine hit when you pull off something good, right? But yeah, and it just feels so much more satisfying with that art. So I think we'll keep updating it that way. But I think the trick to remember is just that, like, it's how fast you swing, not how far. And like, I think a lot of people get into, like, they move the skater one way and they get into an awkward body position, and they don't realize that, okay, I can just let go of the grips, reset, and like bring them back. And that usually takes like around an hour for like people to completely internalize that concept, at least with our playtesters. So yeah, I think like just once you sort of get that, then it just sort of becomes like muscle memory. And I think this game really starts singing maybe once you spend like 3 or 4 let's say like 3 or 4 sessions with the game. You play 3 or 4 levels, and hopefully you hit flow state, and then it just kind of like things just start becoming very fun at that point.
Awesome. Well, thanks for your time, man. I'm glad to talk to you again. I know you have probably a busy day ahead, so we'll get out of here. But we wish you all the luck. I enjoy it. You guys are awesome to talk to, both in VR and on Twitter, and I hope everything works out the way you plan, or better.
As things change. It's definitely it's going to be interesting going forward. I think we've always sort of, we've been building this for 3 years, and I also know when I'm putting this out that this is probably the worst the game will be, right, going forward. And so, I think it's going to be interesting. It's the first time we're kind of putting something out direct to consumer. We've done a lot of like work with enterprises, obviously, but like this, this should be like a fun learning curve. But also, it's yeah, it's been a dream to like get to this point and just I mean even now I think when I was loading up like with the new cover art and stuff on the Oculus store and I'm seeing District M there, it looks so like yeah, I think like whatever happens, however people react to it, this is yeah, I mean I'm really proud of like this what we've built and the team and what they've done. And yeah, it should be like super fun. And yeah, also I mean when we tweet later today and like we're going to post on Reddit, so that always is going to be yeah, thrilling to see what people, what kind of comments are going to come out there.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean it'll be awesome if you, and I mean you guys have always been so supportive of us online. And
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah, so thanks for that. And yeah, I hope like now yeah, but like what we put out there, like, and I'm sure like a lot of people also read what you guys say about the game, and so when they try it, they'll see something special as well.
Yeah, we'll have to have you back to get caught up again and see how everything went and how it's going and all that fun stuff.
Yeah, it's been great chatting with you guys.
Yeah.
Good luck
Well,
with the
thanks
launch.
everyone. Oh, sorry. Thanks everyone for hanging out and listening. Says check out District M. Like I said, there'll be links in the show notes. The demo's releasing later today. You'll see on Twitter via our page and Ashwin's page and the District M page. So you'll be able to find it pretty easy. Let them know what you think.